Hey everybody, here we are. We're back. I'm back. After a delay, after a quite prolonged delay of confusion, existential dread, general fear about the state of the world. You can wrap those up and put a bow on it. Things are pretty crazy nowadays, but even, I don't know, more so a personal rut here. And so I was thinking what I could do to get back out there and hit on the idea of lowering the bar of entry. So that's why I am currently recording this at 2:22 a.m. So I might be quasi-conscious, a little bit delirious, so my apologies if things start to get weird. And here we are. I was thinking, this is an episode of Casually Curious of the Distillation series. So I'm going to be reading some quotes and approaching Distillations with a little more leniency, a little more fun. I guess maybe just thinking about it more like live streaming what I'm up to, what I'm reading, that sort of thing. And then, the idea is, if there's anyone out there who takes an interest in this sort of crap, then it's your lucky day. Okay. Here we are. So I'm going to be reading some essential Kierkegaard. I think it's this might be actually from a letter that he sent someone. I'll give the citation, the specific citation in the notes. But turns out Kierkegaard has some interesting things to say about existential dread, I guess. I don't know if that's exactly the way to articulate it, but I found it relevant to some of the things I've been going through. The being in stasis, paralysis, anxiety about moving forward, being focused on the wrong sorts of things, and I guess you'll see that as I start reading. But so I guess that might be part of a change that I'm experimenting with here, which is to if I'm reading this kind of stuff anyway on my own, might as well share it. And I think it'll sort of two birds with one stone, you could say, because it's a self-exploration while hitting the objective that I need to hit, which is just taking this opportunity seriously. The opportunity being YouTube. And it sounds sort of silly when you first say it, remembering back to YouTube's origins, but it's really come into its own, and it's obviously having a moment. I mean, 2018, we're really seeing these YouTubers and influencers really kind of have an impact, and so why not add this to the sum of human knowledge? And something I have to keep in mind is part of that is intimidating, but at the same time I have to keep remembering that no one's going to watch this, and not too many eyeballs on the other videos we've uploaded, and hopefully that'll change. But I have to keep that in mind, because you get caught up in imagining that it's your best friend that's listening, or your friends that are listening to every single thing you're saying, and they're going to be judging you and like giving you shit about it the next day or something. But it's just throwing it out into the ether. All right, without further ado, as usual, my preamble goes way too long and probably turns off the one person that decided to tune in and give me a shot. And then they heard that, they were like, nah, too much. Okay, all right, stay with us, one guy. All right, so Soren Kierkegaard. Here's what he has to say. But when I try to get clear about my life, everything looks different. Just as it takes a long time for a child to learn to distinguish itself from objects, and thus for a long time disengages itself so little from its surroundings that it stresses the objective side and says, for example, "Me hit the horse." So the same phenomenon is repeated in a higher spiritual sphere. I therefore believed that I would possibly achieve more tranquility by taking another line of study, by directing my energies toward another goal. I might have succeeded for a time in banishing a certain restlessness, but it probably would have come back more intense, like a fever after drinking cold water. I think I've heard of that idea of kids not being able to distinguish the environment, their surroundings, from their own will. So they sort of think that their actions directly cause the things that they see in the environment, and things that they in the environment that are contingent and not under their control are the result of their own actions, something they did. It's called magical thinking, is the name that psychologists have for it. So I think it's interesting. He's talking about this, where you sort of lose the distinction between the dividing lines of causation between your own self-agency and autonomy and everything, and the environment and the things that are going on around you. And that idea makes sense to me when he's talking about expecting tranquility to be found in the environment itself, conflating a deeper tranquility with the environment itself, or the lines of inquiry. All right, so next section. Quote, quote, "What I really need is to get clear about what I am to do, not what I must know, except insofar as knowledge must precede every act. What matters is to find my purpose, to see what it really is that God wills that I shall do. The crucial thing is to find a truth that is truth for me, to find the idea for which I am willing to live and die. Of what use would it be to me to discover a so-called objective truth, to work through the philosophical systems so that I could, if asked, make critical judgments about them, could point out the fallacies in each system, Of what use would it be to me to be able to develop a theory of the state, getting details from various sources and combining them into a whole and constructing a world I did not live in, but merely held up for others to see? Of what use would it be to me to be able to formulate the meaning of Christianity, to be able to explain many specific points, if it had no deeper meaning for me and for my life? And the better I was at it, the more I saw others appropriate the creations of my mind, the more tragic my situation would be, not unlike that of parents who in their poverty are forced to send their children out into the world and turn them over to the care of others. This is one of my favorite sections here. Of what use would it be to me for truth to stand before me, cold and naked, not caring whether or not I acknowledged it, making me uneasy rather than trustingly receptive? I certainly do not deny that I still accept an imperative of knowledge, and that through it men may be influenced. But then it must come alive in me, and this is what I now recognize as the most important of all. This is what my soul thirsts for as the African deserts thirst for water. This is what is lacking, and this is why I am like a man who has collected furniture, rented an apartment, but as yet has not found the beloved to share life's ups and downs with him. But in order to find that idea, or to put it more correctly, to find myself, it does no good to plunge still further into the world. That was just what I did before. I just think that that's powerful. It's a powerful critique of, I think, the imperative of knowledge that he mentions, which is seen to be sort of the ultimate value, I think, especially being into philosophy and constantly thinking about ideas and reading different philosophers and the whole system building enterprise, which maybe not so much of late with this sort of specialized post-positivist and commentariat and all that sort of thing. Maybe there aren't as many systems being built in contemporary philosophy, academic philosophy at least, but it's interesting to hear someone reject the appeal to that and to identify that process as being misguided if what you're searching for is tranquility or something deeper, something to live and die for, which intimates to me that what he's getting at is something with purpose, something at that level of analysis, something that is able to come alive inside you, and that being the most important of all. That's powerful. And it's food for thought, I guess. I don't know. I can see some of my own issues chasing the different lines of inquiry down to the ground, thinking that each one is going to lead to whatever answer it is that I've been looking for, or something along those lines. That's a whole Pandora's box that I'll not open, because then I'll be talking for hours. But there's a lot relevant here, I think, to also just people who are used to thinking about philosophy and different system builders and that sort of thing. An idea that you can embody seems like a good an ideal situation, I guess you could say, is that the system you believe to be true ends up also according to the deepest senses of your lived experience, or a lived experience, or or even, something congruent with your soul, or something like that. Something that corresponds, or is, a theory that, or something that has the actions of a quote unquote soul integrated to it, so that you can live it, so you could live the idea itself. All right, before I run the risk of rambling, I'm gonna end this one there. Maybe I'll do another separate video for some more. I think there's one more from this reading. All right.